The Salvator Mundi is a painting created by Leonardo da Vinci, the renowned painter in the Italian Renaissance period. On the evening of November 15, 2017, New York time, the only available work of Leonardo da Vinci, Salvator Mundi, was knocked down at a price of $400 million. With the commission included, the transaction price was $450.312 million, and it was sold at the Christie's Evening Auction in New York, thus becoming the most expensive work of art in history. The entire auction process lasted only 20 minutes. It was restored in the 2000s, and the original strokes were discovered on the right hand of Christ and in other places. Since the copies of the Salvator Mundi were in existence and visible, people had known for a long time that Leonardo da Vinci had painted a very important portrait of Jesus. The earliest conclusive record of the existence of this current painting is that it entered the collection of Charles I of England. These monarchs hoped to wash away their sins by possessing such an outstanding work of art. However, the fact is that Charles I didn't achieve his wish. He was beheaded for treason in 1649. All the precious Renaissance artworks he left behind were sold by the then Commonwealth government to pay off his debts. This is also a kind of symbolic meaning inherent in the Salvator Mundi. When Are You Getting Married is a highly impactful oil painting by French post-impressionist Paul Gauguin in 1892. It holds a special place in art history, marked by its unique creation story, distinct style, and deep cultural meaning. In the 1890s, Gauguin was dissatisfied with European art trends. Hoping to escape traditional art constraints, he journeyed to Tahiti in 1891, aiming to find a place for pure, primitive art. But upon arrival, he found the island, colonized since the 18th century, had been severely hit by European-brought diseases. Most of the indigenous population died, and the original culture was nearly wiped out. Despite this, Gauguin was drawn to the local customs and native women. Using them as models, he created many paintings, including When Are You Getting Married? In this piece, he skillfully used color and composition to show his view of Tahiti. The painting's foreground and middle ground feature green, yellow, and blue areas. A young woman in traditional clothes stands at the transition. Richard Field thought the white flower behind her ear meant she was seeking a husband. Behind her, a woman in a Western-style dress sits upright. Field linked her gesture to Buddhist art, while Naomi Imauer saw it as a threatening mudra. The front woman stretches, with her face stylized. Field noted Japanese-style elements in her pose, and Charles F. Stuckey compared it to Delacroix's work. The woman in the background, with unique facial markings, is centered, and her pink dress contrasts vividly. Art historian Nancy Mole Matthew said Gauguin depicted Tahitians as living only for singing and love, perhaps to gain financial support and public attention. In reality, he knew Tahiti was an alluring island with an international and Western-influenced side. In 1893, Gauguin took his Tahitian works back to France for a Durand Rule exhibition. Although it received some good reviews, sales were poor. When Are You Getting Married? Was consigned at a high price of 1,500 francs but found no buyers. It was not until 1917 that Steckelin bought it. Later, it was loaned in Basel for about 50 years, attracting many viewers. In 2015, the Rudolph family sold it to Hamad for around $300 million, setting an auction record. In 2017, a pencil sketch of the painting's central figure was found and authenticated on Fake or Fortune, furthering our understanding of its creation. In When Are You Getting Married? Gauguin broke traditional painting rules with bold colors and simple forms. By portraying Tahitian women, he explored human primitive energy and spirit. His innovative approach influenced contemporary art and inspired future artists. It makes us think about art, reality, culture, and tradition, encouraging us to explore new artistic expressions. This painting is more than a visual work, it represents Gauguin's artistic beliefs and life goals. It embodies Tahiti's history and culture, and Gauguin's longing for primitive art. In art history, it's a remarkable work, attracting art lovers and researchers to explore its secrets. Whether it's the style or the stories behind it, When Are You Getting Married is an essential treasure in the art world, leaving a rich legacy for future generations. This painting refreshed the record for the world's most expensive work of art. In February 2012, the Qatari royal family purchased Cézanne's The Card Players for over $250 million, breaking the previous record of $142.7 million set by Jackson Pollock's No. 5, 1948 in 2006. The Card Players is one of the painter's important masterpieces. Depicted in the painting are two peasants playing cards. The painter meticulously portrays the focused facial expressions and hunched shoulders of the two peasants as they play cards, vividly revealing the characters' inner worlds and personality traits. When arranging the relationship between the characters, props, and the environment, the painter deliberately intensifies the shaded parts of the contour lines. By making use of the variations of different triangles and right angles, and emphasizing the contrast between the brown, red hues and blue, the painter not only highlights the main characters but also achieves a stable effect of the connection of the line structure. On November 11, 2015, during the Looking Forward to the Past evening auction at Christie's in New York, several buyers placed bids by phone. After a round of frantic bidding, the mysterious wealthy buyer who finally won the auction acquired Les Femmes d'Alger, version 0, at a price of $160 million. With an additional 12% commission from the auction house, the final transaction price of this work reached $179 million. This sky-high price also set a new record for the highest transaction price in the world's art auctions. Between December 1954 and February 1955, Picasso created a total of 15 versions of Les Femmes d'Alger. For the convenience of distinction, later collectors named them using the 15 letters from A to O. In just 3 months, Picasso created 15 versions of this work as well as numerous creative drafts. Such efficiency is truly astonishing. Among them, Les Femmes d'Alger, version 0, is not only the final work in this series but also the peak of it. Picasso had long admired Delacroix's Les Femmes d'Alger, and he had always been enthusiastic about reinventing world-class masterpieces. The second reason was that the death of his old rival and friend Henri Matisse deeply touched Picasso's heart. From various biographical materials about Picasso, we can see that he was an artist who was extremely afraid of death. Picasso believed that the weak would perish. Therefore, he worked hard on creating to make himself stronger. From this aspect, we can also see how terrified he was of death. Perhaps under the shock of the sad news of his friend's departure, Picasso was obsessed with creating Les Femmes d'Alger. Under these two preconditions, Picasso's Les Femmes d'Alger was bound to become a representative work of great significance in his creative career. Les Femmes d'Alger, version 0, is the most perfect one among the series of works. The image of the woman on the left side of the painting is the beauty with the most classical temperament in Cubist works. It combines the charm left by the Romantic predecessors and maintains the sense of volume and weight of Cubism. The intensity and meticulousness in shaping the image of the woman in this painting far exceed those in version H and version L. The female image divided by geometric shapes has a unique visual tension characteristic of Picasso. In terms of composition and the sense of space, Picasso placed the geometricized female image in a space with a stronger sense of perspective, which is in contrast to the closed space effect in Delacroix's Les Femmes d'Alger. And in this contrast, it seems to echo the slightly open small door in Delacroix's Les Femmes d'Alger. There is also an interesting detail. The square perspective above the woman's head on the left side of the painting seems to close the open space originally depicted on the right side of the painting again. It's not clear whether this was an unintentional act by Picasso or a carefully designed little Easter egg. In terms of color, Picasso's Les Femmes d'Alger has something of the Fauvist style, a black background and vivid figures. Perhaps Picasso wanted to use this to pay tribute to the late Matisse. Action painting is a type of abstract painting in the United States. When painters create works, they spread the canvas on the ground and drip paint on it to display their emotional impulses and make the painting achieve a strong dynamic effect. This action painting school is a form of abstract expressionism. The American painter Jackson Pollock is a major representative figure of the action painting school. Number 5, 1948, is one of Pollock's representative works and also one of his few colored works. There are rich colors such as red, yellow, blue, and black in the painting. After that, his works became lighter and lighter in color. Although the name of the work is simple and the painting seems to have no specific images, its composition is actually very rigorous, and it also possesses the most essential characteristics of abstract expressionism, a combination of abstractionism, expressionism, and surrealism. Its form is abstract and the emotional expression is unconscious. In 2006, Pollock's famous work, No. 5, 1948, was auctioned for $140 million, adjusted price, $165 million. However, in 1949, this painting was only worth $1,200. This painting, A Dream, is one of Picasso's important works and a portrayal of one of his emotional experiences. In early 1927, the 47-year-old Picasso met the 17-year-old girl, Marie-Therese Walter, who had blonde hair and a voluptuous figure, at a railway station. Since then, this girl had always been the model for Picasso's paintings and sculptures. Another 17 years later, in a birthday letter to her when he was 64 years old, Picasso said, "For me, today is your 17th birthday, although you have lived through twice that number of years. Meeting you in this world was the beginning of my life." A Dream was painted in 1932 and can be regarded as the most perfect manifestation of Picasso's love for both the spirit and the body. In terms of the characteristics of plain eye decomposition, A Dream is quite simple. It only uses the outlines of lines to sketch the female body and places it in front of a red background. The woman's limbs are not further analyzed or overly exaggeratedly divided. The colors are also extremely simple. However, the portrait and the line drawing are full of sensuality. Picasso used the simplest painting techniques to present a girl in both dreams and reality. His unique way of expression gives viewers more room for imagination and freedom of thought. In 1997, Picasso's The Dream was sold at Christie's in New York for $48.4 million. On March 27, 2013, the trading price of the works by the Spanish art master Picasso reached a new high again. Stephen Cohen, an American hedge fund manager, bought Picasso's famous painting The Dream from Steve Wynn, a Las Vegas casino tycoon, for $155 million, adjusted price, $158 million. This painting is regarded as Klimt's most famous and outstanding work, and it once set a world record in art auctions. At that time, Ferdinand Bloch-Bauer, a Viennese banker and sugar magnate, commissioned Klimt to paint a portrait of his wife, Adele, as their wedding anniversary gift. However, it took Klimt 3 years to complete this work. Adele was also one of Klimt's favorite models. He had painted 2 portraits of her and created the famous Judith I with her as the model. In the painting, Adele is sitting on a golden chair, wearing a dress with numerous straight lines, squares, triangles, and abstract symbols. She has a string of gemstone necklaces around her neck, her hands are folded, and her expression is blurred, melancholy and unrestrained. Her elaborately decorated dress, chair, and the glittering background almost blend into one. Adele's hair, face, shoulders, and hands are painted with traditional oil painting techniques. But against the backdrop of the nearly abstract golden dress and chair, her image seems to be otherworldly, carrying a strong religious and idol-like temperament. The highly decorative style of this work derives from its unique production methods. The large pieces of gold and silver fragments on the painting are formed by splicing gold leaf on the canvas. Plaster is used in some white areas, and only less than 1/10 of the area is painted with oil paint. According to the painter himself, he was inspired by the Basilica di San Vitolo in Italy. The church is filled with huge yet meticulous mosaic decorations, and these incredibly magnificent mosaics gave him a lot of inspiration. The abstract symbols in the painting have been verified to include Egyptian-style eyes, eggs and almonds, as well as many letters A and B, which should be the abbreviations of the person's name. The repeated coils and threads are said to originate from Mycenaean art. Adele in the painting has lively eyes. Is she pleading with someone or provoking someone? It's hard for people to guess what might be going on behind her clear and transparent black eyes, but she is obviously a deep and mysterious woman. She is also the half-naked woman in Judith and the head of Holofernes, and the happy woman with her eyes closed in a deep kiss in The Kiss. In post-war Vienna, her image became a symbol of Austrian culture. Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer has long been called the Mona Lisa of Austria. In 2006, the private transaction price of this painting was $135 million, adjusted price, $158 million. This painting was created in 1905 and is one of the representative works during Picasso's Rose period. In that year, Picasso was 24 years old and had just settled in Montmartre near Paris, France. The young Parisian boy in the painting was named Little Louis by Picasso. He often hung around in Picasso's studio, and Picasso created this boy with pipe, using him as the model. In the painting, Little Louis is dressed in blue work clothes, holding a pipe in his left hand and wearing a wreath on his head. Against the background of two large bouquets of flowers, it somehow gives off a flavor similar to that of Chinese paintings. The colors of this painting are fresh and bright, the brushstrokes are delicate, and both the figures and the scenery are depicted vividly and realistically. It is one of the most typical and classic works in Picasso's artistic career, presenting an adolescent boy with a somewhat melancholy expression in a focused manner. On May 5, 2004, this painting was purchased by Mr. George, a wealthy Jewish businessman from Germany, at a staggering price of $104.16 million at the Sotheby's auction held in London. At that time, this price set the highest record in the history of auctions for world-famous paintings.